Hello, Ken Devereaux.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. It's so great to see a packed Horizon room, all of your beautiful faces. We hope you had a wonderful week off, and to everyone watching on Zoom, thank you for being here. It's my pleasure to welcome Ms. Courtney Lewis, Senior Vice President and Team Leader for Middle Market Banking, Corporate CNI, and Syndications for Bancorp South, to bring to us our invocation. Courtney?
Pray with me, please. Dear God, we pause to say thank you for the gift of this day and the abundant provision you pour out upon us. We are so richly blessed. Accept our profound gratitude for this goodness. May the meal we eat today strengthen our bodies for your service throughout our community. We have a four-way test to guide us in your way of truth and compassion. Forgive us when we fail this test and put our own needs above the needs of others. May your light guide our path. We humbly ask your power and wisdom for the great Rotary Club and for our members. Take the amazing gifts of these women and men and apply them throughout Fort Worth and beyond, that the city might become more your city of hospitality, welcome, and justice for all, especially for your least of these in our midst. We pray for our President Carlo as he leads us in this work. May we all dedicate ourselves to your profound command, love your neighbor as yourself, all in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, President-elect Lewis. Now, if there's one thing I've learned about people, is that we all love surprises, especially as it comes to the national anthem. So if you remain standing, I have a special announcement. We have singing to us live today is Ms. Sharan Goodspeed Keaton. She's with the Fort Worth Opera. Many of you know her, the artistic director of DVA Productions, producer, entertainer, and overall wonderful woman. Sharan, feel free.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars to the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? The brave.
Let's hear it for Sharan, everybody. Thank you. You may be seated. Thank you. For any guests out there, that's just a normal national anthem we do. That was phenomenal. Wow. All right, we have a new tradition in our club, whereby I wish that were the new tradition in our club, but we have another tradition in our club where we pay homage to the four-way test. The Rotary Club of Fort Worth was founded on the hallmark of the four pillars of the things that we say, we think, or we do. So if you'll say it with me, number one, is it the truth? Number two, is it fair to all concerned? Number three, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number four, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And that national anthem was indeed beneficial to all concerned. It is now my pleasure to welcome Mr. Mark Maurer, Associate Director of Development for the College of Business at Tarleton State University, to welcome our in-person Rotarians and guests, as well as all of you out there in Zoom land. Mark?
Thank you, President Carlo. Please join me in welcoming our guests today. First, Greg Lahane, guest of Chris Jordan. Next, Ed McLinn, guest of James Petty. Please welcome Thomas T. Moore, Angel Esparza, and Elizabeth Cruz, guests of Rotary. Also, Amethyst Sloan, guest of Jared Sloan. Sajade Miller, guest of Jim Austin. Jeff Postel, guest of Bob Mitchell. Also, Chris Kobler, guest of Bob Mitchell. Thank you, sorry. Captain Rich Harden, guest of Chief Neil Noakes. Ann Street, guest of Charlie Powell. And also Ronnie Rincher, guest of Charlie Powell. And Olakunle Oni, guest of, I'm sorry, hope I got that right. Olakunle Oni, guest of Mark Dabney. And please welcome all our Rotarians and members online. And if you're a guest, please populate your name within the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. We wanted to save to the very end of our introductions our very own State Senator Beverly Powell. Beverly, thank you so much for being here. All right, now it is the moment that most of you have probably been waiting for. It's our newscast. And to bring us our newscast, we have veteran newscaster Kathy Neese-Brown. She is the Vice President of Mission Support at the James L. West Center. And if you've never experienced a newscast, if you're a guest here, it's, well, you'll figure it out. Kathy?
Lucky at the age of the room, you all will understand this. Hold on just a minute. Okay, here we go. And you can thank Fletcher. He backed out on the newscast this week. So I only had like 2 days to do this. I've already apologized to the chief. So here we go. Oh, the newscast, all the news that's fit to print and that which isn't too. Chief Noakes, you were just on Facebook Live with Mayor Price. Less than an hour ago, actually. Reviewing your first few months on the job. I saw you on Twitter and YouTube too. Imagine a world where YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook merge and become known as YouTwitFace. It's been quite a news cycle. At this point, if a clown had invited me into the woods, I'd just go. COVID ruined my timing. When I tell you a coronavirus joke, I have to wait 2 weeks to see if you got it. I waited for Johnson & Johnson and finally got vaccinated today. Now that I've got 5G, I can't wait to get my new smartphone. Buckingham Palace will hire a diversity officer to enforce diversity and racial inclusion in the palace. This particular British royal family descended from a German Protestant marrying a Scottish Protestant to rule English Protestants and collect rent from Irish Catholics. It's no Biden cabinet, but you have to give them credit for trying. Oh, come on, come on. Harry told Oprah that they moved to America to escape racism. That's like moving to Flint for the water. Right? Okay, just this morning it was released that Prince Philip has passed away at age 99. The royal family invited Meghan and Harry home to London. They even hired Tiger Woods to pick them up and drive them to the palace. Right? Tiger's SUV has been cleared away. Now comes the hard part, replacing the divot. Right? So, okay, attention cancel culture commissars. Southern Episcopalians, Methodists, and Presbyterians are not crackers. We are wafers. Did you get it? Come on. Okay, in sports news, the excitement has just begun. In 5 years, Tiger Woods will be eligible for the Seniors Tour, and they get to drive a golf cart. And MLB signs a deal to broadcast 125 games a year to China. I don't think the game will catch on in China because they eat their bats. Okay, well, if I had a couple more days, hold on, you'll get this one. Okay, maybe you have to be a baby boomer from Texas or Oklahoma to get the joke, but a Southern Baptist college just won the big dance. Right? Okay, and I'm on vacation this week, so you're sure, and I came here. It says, I was just on Amazon and bought the new book by Dr. Seuss. There's Disorder on the Border by Executive Order. Pretty good, huh? Traveling this summer in honor of its favorite son, Scranton, Pennsylvania just renamed itself Biden Falls. Oh, okay. Here are a few police jokes just to close this thing out. I'm parked in the garage if you want to meet me, level 2. Okay, police are front of mind in today's news. A new curfew is in effect. In order to better protect the people of Minneapolis, cops aren't allowed on the streets after 10. The last 2 weeks have taught us we should continue to social distance, if only to make group targeting more difficult. And I know revenue from traffic stops is important. Ever taken a moment to think that Uber is allowing an entire generation's drunk driving skills to atrophy? Right? And that's the news.
Thank you, Kathy. Please send letters or comments to James L. West Center. Attention, Kathy Nice Brown. Thank you, Kathy. That was wonderful. In perhaps an awkward and abrupt transition, I'd now like to thank the two companies who paid money to sponsor and be associated with today's event. We'd like to thank President Sierra Bank, Charlie Powell, President and CEO and longtime Rotarian. Thank you, Charlie. Round of applause for Charlie and Sierra Bank. As well as our other sponsor, Downtown Fort Worth, Inc., led by our Rotary past president, Andy Taft. A round of applause for Downtown Fort Worth, Inc. Thank you to our sponsors. Now it's time for a first reading. So to help us with that is our Secretary and Acting Director of Sales and Marketing for the Fort Worth Convention Center, Blake Moorman. Blake?
All right, thank you, President Carlo. Yes, we have two first readings today. The first name is Miss Ashley LeCamp. Banking, finance is her classification. Her title is Financial Advisor. Company, Morgan Stanley. Proposer, James Petty. The second name is Miss Regina Rhodes. Classification, Hotels, Hospitality. Title, General Manager. Company, Hyatt Place, TCU. Proposer, Bob Jamerson. If no written objection is received in the Rotary office by next Friday, April 16th, these proposals will be given a second reading and voted on by the club. Thank you.
Thank you, Blake. All right, next up, it's my pleasure to welcome past President David Campbell. He is going to help us with a new member introduction, and David is the Vice President of Hewitt-Zollars. David?
All right, new member. Love a new member day, especially one that's a DA. All right, Ryan Hill. Ryan Hill grew up in Corpus Christi. He attended Baylor University, so he's just sobered up. Where he met his wife. He married Stephanie in 2006 after his first year at St. Mary's School of Law. Upon graduation, he wisely followed her to Fort Worth, where she grew up. He's been a prosecutor for 12 years. He's been at Hood County, Johnson County for the past 6 years, working for Sharon Wilson right here in Tarrant County. I'm proud to introduce Ryan Hill.
Yeah, so my heart
leapt a beat because I didn't know I was gonna have to talk at all. And David sent me an email and said, yeah, you got 15 minutes you got to hit. And I'm like, and then I opened the email like, kidding, but good. I was like, so anyway, thought you said fill in the blank. Just tell them about yourself. Yeah. Okay. All right. So, like I said, I'm from Corpus Christi. Have 2 children. Tucker Hill, he's 8. He has the misfortune of having me as his coach for his first year in kid pitch at University Little League. And I have a 4-year-old named Emma, and she also plays t-ball at University Little League because she wanted to be like her brother. She plays soccer and she's into art. If we have any spare time, which we don't, me and my wife like to play tennis and something interesting. Right. So as, yeah, right. Yes. So I had to think about it. In high school, I didn't have a normal job. I don't think it's normal. I got tricked into working, I guess. I played for a big band / Tejano wedding band in San Antonio and Corpus in the Valley to make money in high school and most of college. I went to Baylor University on a saxophone scholarship. Sang in the choir there, played in like 8 different bands. And then my most memorable performances of note, I sang in a mixed chorus for Mozart's Requiem at Carnegie Hall in New York. And I played a saxophone solo at the Myers. So there we go. Thank you, Ryan. That was great. All right, folks, it's now time for one of my favorite parts of the meeting, where we get to meet the members that maybe you haven't seen for a while, or that maybe we want to take a little bit deeper dive. So it is my pleasure now to welcome. We have with us joining us via Zoom is Mr. Elliot Goldman. And Elliot, we are going to spotlight you, if I can figure it out. If you'd like to come off mute, Elliot, feel free, and we're going to spotlight you so everybody can see you.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Carlo? Not sure if you can hear me. Hold on. I will assume you guys can hear me. Oh, it says remove spotlight. Hold on.
No, don't remove spotlight.
Oh, okay. Hi, if you can hear me. Greetings from the Greenbrier in West Virginia. People tell me that I'm vastly underwhelming in person, so I decided to do this by Zoom. I joined Rotary in 1997. John Robinson was my sponsor. At the time, I was the youngest member in the history of the club at the age of 24. I had broken the record by 4 years, and I had a full head of hair back then. When I'm not in Rotary, you can find me finishing my new military history museum, scheduled to open January of 2021 near TCU. A little known fun fact is my hobby is learning history from history makers, and I've done over 200 personal interviews in the last 25 years. One of the prompt questions asked, how has coronavirus affected your business? I have 2 words for it. Pandemics suck. One positive thing that has come out of it is that I've had time to read The Coddling of the American Mind. It explains to many people how we've gotten where we've gotten in this country. It's a great book, and it discusses the 3 great untruths that have dominated the current narrative that has gone on in our country, which is what does not kill us makes us weaker, trust your feelings, and life is a battle between good people and evil. As an inspiration from the book, my thoughts for the day are be kind, give people the benefit of the doubt, and try to create something positive out of each interaction you have. I love being a member of this club, and I love the people who make it special.
Most of you don't know this, and Elliot is much too modest to admit, but he has given a Herculean effort above and beyond his call of duty for especially the endowment and helping us with our financials. So Elliot, I couldn't think of a better person to spotlight, and thank you so much for everything that you do for our club. Coincidentally, we also have a special guest that I'm going to call out, and this is going to go off script, but I see past President Tim Plasica on the call. And some of you know Tim. He is an incredible volunteer and has been with the club, 10 years. When I joined, he was president. So Tim, I think we're going to spotlight you, and just want to say, great to see you. Can you tell us maybe just in 30 seconds what you're up to? And we hope to see you back here soon.
Yeah, thank you, Carlo. And hey, I miss everybody over in the club in Fort Worth. Been away for a while, and let me just say, you guys have a wonderful thing going over there, so keep it up. Yeah, so about a year ago, I started an advancement over at Jesuit College Prep here in Dallas. So family has relocated. We are building a home up in North Dallas and hope to close at the end of the month. My son is attending here at Jesuit. I've got two daughters down in College Station. So I make it back to Fort Worth quite a bit. I have to confess, I hanker oftentimes on Friday at lunch to go down to the Fort Worth Club and join you guys, but unfortunately can't get away these days. But Carlo invited me to join today, and glad to see everybody's having a good time and keeping the traditions going.
Tim, thank you. A round of applause for Tim. Tim, thank you so much. Great to see you, Tim. Now, we have a special announcement from Mark Dabney. Mark has done an incredible job with our Rotary Plaza, and we have a quick spotlight and a pretty awesome PowerPoint presentation with some pictures that'll hopefully get you excited. Mark?
Thank you, President Carlo. Good afternoon. I've got about 30 minutes worth of information to do in 3 minutes. So, but before I start, Carlo mentioned the presentation. I have to give my colleague credit for putting this together. Ola Kunle is in my office here in Fort Worth, and I don't know how to do all these pretty things. So let's talk about Rotary Plaza. There we go. It's actually Rotary Plaza in Trinity Park. So what I want to do today is tell you a little bit about the history of the park and the plaza. There was a park before the plaza, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then I have an immediate opportunity that we need some help with for some repairs. And then I want to show you some potential improvements that could be made over time to the park as we plan for other amenities. The committee that I chair overlooks the maintenance of the park. We have an adoptive park agreement with the city of Fort Worth, and they're a great partner. When we do have maintenance items and more difficult tasks, they always come and take care of it. So I'll show you some of that. And then we also look for opportunities to improve the park. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Okay, so a quick history of the park. Many of you know this, but the original Rotary Park opened 104 years ago on April 13th in 1917. And it was located at the corner of West 7th Street and Summit Avenue, which is, there's a big 7-Eleven there now. If you don't know exactly where that is, just west of here. The original park contained a bathhouse, a pool with, it's really more of a pond with sand beaches, playground, bandstand, and tennis courts. And then in 1954, the park was sold to a guy named Frank Kent. Y'all probably know who that is. Not much happened with the land after that, but the City of Fort Worth Park Department offices were located there from 1924 until 1955, and they relocated to the Botanic Gardens. And lastly, the Rotary Monument, which you'll see here in a moment, was relocated during that time to the area over near where the Pier 1 building is now. And then in 2014, the new Rotary Plaza was dedicated, and it was a celebration of the 100th anniversary of our club, and it was also a gift to the city of Fort Worth. The new park, I think everybody knows it where it is, but it's Long Forest Park there on the east bank of the Trinity River. And there's a covered picnic area. There is bike racks, and of course, the 104-year-old Rotary Monument. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. The park is also a, well, this thing is sensitive. The park is also a trailhead for the Trinity Trail System. So as you can see, that monument, I'll show you a close-up picture in a minute, may need a little work. When it was installed, there's some bronze plaques that were on it. And you'll notice now, here's a current photo. There we go. Oh, okay. So I need to go ahead. One more. There we go. Okay, those bronze plaques are not there anymore. I'll show you that in a moment. And there's cracks in the concrete Rotary symbol that need some repair. If you go to the next slide, there we go. Back in 2019, those plaques were stolen. It's kind of shocking and disappointing. We don't know when or how that happened because they were bolted on pretty good, but What I want to talk to you about today is that we want to replace those plaques. And the plaques honor those that helped raise money to relocate the park, as well as some of the construction improvements that were made with the picnic stand. So what I'd like to ask today is we need to raise about $5,500, and we're going to replace those bronze plaques with granite blocks of stone. And we're going to engrave them. They'll be bolted down, and I would challenge somebody to try to walk off with one of those now. But I'd like to challenge the club to consider donating to that cause. Like I said, it's about $5,500. And what we'll do, once we raise the money, have the construction done, we'll plan a big celebration. Hopefully we can all gather outside at that time. And then we'll do a permanent recognition of those that give to that new cause. So please consider that today. We've got all of the estimates from the monument company that'll help us build this. And we think we can get that done pretty quick. So there's some other things that have been done over the years. The city of Fort Worth has been really good to adjust some of the pavers that form the kind of the cog paving pattern to keep cyclists safe. We want to ultimately install some skateboard protection. Skateboard people can be a little rough on benches and things like that. So we'd like to do that over the next couple of years. And then well, this thing is really messing me up here. I'm sorry. Other thing we want to do is start looking at other landscaping, including low maintenance landscaping like bluebonnets. And you see a couple of images here of wildflowers, boulders, and that sort of thing that don't take a lot of work. We planted daffodils, and they were a lot of trouble, and they were pretty for a little while, but they got overgrown with weeds. So this past year in 2020, through the work of Sean Snell and others, we had some incredible volunteers that went out and planted bluebonnet seeds. And you can see that's a plan that has now been amended to our adopt a park agreement with the city. And the freeze, I think, probably hurt us a little bit this year. We didn't have a whole lot of flowers coming out, but look out for next year. And there's plans to plant more seeds this fall. There's a team, including Bob Byers with Britt. He's been an awesome team member to help us figure out how to get these seeds to germinate. So real quickly, other things, other ideas on the table, more benches. Everybody sees benches in parks, lots of neat ways to do that. And then, lighting, trash cans, other types of amenities for the park that we could add over time. And lastly, maybe we could expand it even further. There are some challenges down there with the Corps of Engineers and being it's in a floodplain, but maybe there are some bigger plans ahead that we might consider over the years. The park is used often. There's birthday parties. Every time I've been down there, somebody's been doing something with the covered picnic area. The last thing I'll say is we also have a really good relationship with Streams and Valleys. They were part of the original partners on planning the park. The monument terminates on the east side of the Phyllis Tilley Memorial Bridge, which is a beautiful bridge. If you haven't seen it, you should go take a look. But Streams and Valleys has added some signage. If you haven't seen it, it was installed last year, and they have other plans for other landscaping that they want to help us with too. So there's a really good partnering opportunity with Streams of Valleys. They've been great. So that's my presentation. I probably went over a little bit. Thank you. Oh, last thing I'll say, I need committee members. So if you would like to help us with this park and the future plans, please see me or contact Aurora and we'll get that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. If you are interested in being one of only 11 Rotarians to donate $500, your name will be forever etched into the granite. So please let me know if anyone online is interested. Post something in the chat and we'll follow up with you. So thank you, Mark, for all of your work. One of the greatest honors I have in serving as Rotary president is speaking at the police and fire graduations. And today, so it's a tradition of our club to honor the top graduate in every police graduation and every fire graduation. I speak at their graduation with Chief Noakes, and then we invite them to come to be recognized here publicly at our club in front of all of you. And so today we have two of the most recent top grads. We have from class 149, Officer Thomas Moore, and from class 148, Officer Angel Esparza. Please help me, a round of applause.
You know, these past two graduations, especially, you know, the chief mentions, these young men and women started their training back in March of last year. And back in March of last year, the world was a very different place. So thank you for your commitment, for what you do for our community. And on a personal note, I'd like to ask you to find those guys that stole our plaque in Rotary Plaza. All right, folks, we also have another special guest here today to introduce today's program. So please join me in welcoming our friend, our fellow Rotarian, and the Tarrant County District Attorney, Sharon Wilson.
So it's great to be with you all today, and I'm going to get right with the business, which is introducing very proudly Neil Noakes. Neil Noakes was sworn in as Fort Worth's newest police chief in February of this year, and he really had worked his way up through the department. He started with the Fort Worth Police Department in 2000, and through those years, he served in various departments: patrol, DWI, motors, internal affairs, and for the last year before he became chief, he was one of the deputy chiefs for nearly a full year. When he applied for the job and interviewed with the people with the Fort Worth Police Department, he said that he would prove that he was the right leader at the right time for this department and for this city. We all know that policing is at a critical time, not just in Fort Worth and in our state, but throughout the nation. And he recognizes that policing is at a turning point and is integral to this critical stage, and it needs innovative leadership. He has pledged to be a servant leader, to rebuild the trust within the community and address key issues. And all of those community efforts are balanced, as they have to be, by his also a choice to address the rising violent crime rate. Because as our police look at our community and how we work with them and throughout our community, we also have to be very clear that our job is to make this place safer. We're so grateful for him for being very clear about that. Chief Noakes has said that the police will not arrest their way out of crime. I agree with that. They need to show the community the heart of the police and their commitment not to policing individuals in the community as much as making the community safe for all individuals. He's pledged to work with the community. We are grateful to have him as our chief of police. And please join me in welcoming Chief Neil Noakes, the right leader for the right time for our police and city.
Thank you so much, District Attorney Wilson. I want everyone here to know we have a wonderful working relationship. We're working together, we're on the same page, and we plan to do great things. Where is the young lady that sang the national anthem? Is she still here? Wow. I felt like I was in church. And I thought, wow, how am I going to follow that? And then I heard the news, so. Love you more. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Does anyone know who said that? It was the American novelist and social critic James Baldwin. He said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. And we in law enforcement, we've had to face some hard facts recently about the way maybe we've been doing business, about how we can do things better. Don't get me wrong. For the police department, we have amazing men and women who do amazing things every single day. I will put our department up against any department in the nation. Maybe I'm biased, but I believe in my heart we are the best. But you know what? No matter how good something is, we should never settle. We should always try to push forward and be better. These two gentlemen right here are the ones that are going to lead. This is the future of the Fort Worth Police Department. Gentlemen, 21 years ago, I was here at the Rotary Club for the same reason you're here, but they made me speak. So I'm going to ask you to come down. Yeah, let's go ahead and do the slide for me, please. Oh, is it ready now? Wonderful. This is our vision for the Fort Worth Police Department. We don't just want to be another police department. We want to be a national leader. And we want to make sure we do things the right way. We want to make sure we're hiring the right people. We want to make sure we have innovative policing model, but we have to have that partnership with the community to be able to do any of it. This is our mission, and it's pretty basic. And here's what it really comes down to me. Three things. Three of the most important things are safety, wellness, and resiliency, and let me explain that. First of all, we have to look internally at our officers. If you're in a plane and the flight attendant is running through the checklist and they say in the event of an emergency, if the oxygen masks drop, what are you to do first? You got to put your own on first. If you can't breathe, you're not going to help anyone else. If you're not okay, you're not going to help anyone else be okay. So first, we have to make sure our officers have the equipment and the training they need to be safe, first and foremost. But then we're talking about wellness, and we're not just talking about physical fitness. We're talking about their emotional and mental well-being, their social well-being, their spiritual well-being. It's holistic. And then about being resilient. Officers see terrible things far too frequently. A lot of officers, I think when I was new, Captain Driver, and you were new, suck it up, move on, be a man, right? That's absolutely incorrect. We want to make sure our officers are resilient and they know to reach out for assistance when they need it. Let's take this a step further. Say our officers are safe, they're well and resilient. Why is that? And so we can make sure our communities that we serve are safe, they are well, and they are resilient. There's a lot of issues right now with violent crime across the country. We're seeing it here in Fort Worth. An article in CNN they had the other day, 63 of the 66 largest policing jurisdictions in the country are dealing with increases in violent crime. And there's a lot of theories about why that is. We don't really know yet. We're studying it. The criminologists are looking into it. What we know is we have an issue we need to deal with. So in Fort Worth, our violent crime went up 26.2% from 2019 to 2020. Look at our homicide increase, 62%. We had a homicide rate that was higher than we'd seen in a quarter of a century. 1995 was the last time we had triple digits. Overall, crime did decrease a little bit, stayed pretty flat, and violent crime decreased a little bit, but those numbers are not acceptable. Another positive as firearm usage in these violent crimes is starting to go down, but not as fast as we'd like to see it. These are the kind of weapons we're taking off the streets. This is what we're seeing in the hands of violent criminals. Here's some of the things we're doing about it. Now, we will not arrest our way out of crime, but arresting people is part of our job. There are violent predators out there in our neighborhoods that don't need to be there. But we have to acknowledge the fact that if we continue doing the things the way we've been doing them and we expect a different result, that's insanity. We have to be willing to try new things. So some of the things we're trying, crisis intervention team, that's dealing with our mental health consumers in the community, because oftentimes interactions that have turned violent was maybe because of misunderstanding, because the person that we were trying to help was in mental health crisis. We have much more training for our officers now, but our crisis intervention team is an officer who rides with a mental health professional. So when they show up on scene, it's not just the officer going off the little bit of training he or she has. We have someone who's been educated, been trained on it, and been doing it for years that may be able to step in and we don't even have to do anything. Our homeless outreach program, HOPE. We all know there's a homeless issue in Fort Worth. And we all know that, some will say, well, they choose to be homeless. We also have to figure a lot of the people we're talking about are broken themselves. So maybe it's not that they want to be homeless, maybe they just don't know any better. The HOPE team provides resources that they need. Civilian Response Unit, this was something we tried to kind of respond to some of the wishes of the community. And those wishes were, sometimes you don't need an officer to show up. And for us on the police side, while we like it, sometimes we need officers to go to the more important calls that are violent or dangerous. Let's give them the time to do it by providing a civilian response team to go out and take care of some of those.
Our gun violence investigations team, we looked across the country and I found some programs in other states where they had a team of detectives specifically trained and equipped to investigate non-fatal shootings the way our homicide unit investigates fatal shootings. Because let's be honest, the only difference sometimes between a homicide and a non-fatal shooting is luck. Either bad luck on the part of the shooter or good luck on the part of the victim. We had our general assignment detectives looking at those cases. They don't have the time. This team has already done amazing work, taking a lot of people off the streets, and the guns I showed you earlier were taken off the streets by this new team. Real-Time Crime Center is an amazing place. We are taking advantage of the technological advances that we're seeing that are making us much more efficient and are force multipliers. And then a community safety partnership is a brand new unit we're using to intentionally build relationships in specific communities where the relationship between the police and the public is not what it should be. So what has affected the Fort Worth PD over the last year, year and a half? Nobody, when they signed up, I would say nobody in this room thought a year ago that we'd be facing a pandemic. We had to find new ways to do things. We had to tell officers in August to go outside wearing masks to do their jobs. It was not easy, but you know what? They got the job done. We dealt with a lot of social unrest. And I will say right now, the way things were done in Fort Worth, we actually talked to some of the protest groups and they appreciated the way we handled things versus other cities they'd been to. Sure, we're learning, we're doing things better. We hope to do better as we go forward, but I'll put the way we handle it against any other major city in the nation, and I don't think you'll find any that handle it the way we did. We understood people have a right to peacefully demonstrate, but business owners, homeowners have a right to their peace and their property being safe as well. People are mad, and you know what? If you saw the same video I saw from Minneapolis, justifiably so. Then we saw the severe weather. They told me there would be a honeymoon period after I was hired. I'm still waiting on that. We had officers coming to work who had no power, who had no water, whose pipes were bursting, and whose families were home alone. We were telling people to stay home, but the officers kept coming in. Same with COVID. Something we never thought we'd see. We shut the place down. We had to. But we told our officers, you keep coming. It's too dangerous for everyone else, but you need to come to work and do your job. And they did. I'm so proud to work with the Fort Worth police officers. They were absolutely amazing. This is one of the most tragic things I've ever seen in my life. When I walked that scene, I couldn't believe how long it took to walk the scene. It was so long. Absolutely tragic. Once again, officers seeing things no human being should ever have to see. And my heart goes out to anyone who was negatively affected by this. It was an absolute tragedy, something that most of us have never seen. Well, no, I'll say none of us at Fort Worth have ever seen anything like this. We pray to God we never see it again. Part of the slide looks like it's cut off here, but basically what this is showing is how Fort Worth is climbing in the ranks. And this is a slide from 2019. We're actually climbing even more. The talk is we may be sliding up to 12 pretty soon. So this is something else that is facing the Fort Worth Police Department right now. I know the district attorney's been dealing with a lot of the same issues we have, and this is one of them. Our population is growing. Luckily, we have a city leadership team and city council who is helping us to make sure we plus up our numbers anytime we can. And the growth, it's not stopping. It's going to continue. This is the big question. This is what it really comes down to for me as a police chief and the Fort Worth Police Department as a law enforcement agency. We have a job to do. Fundamentally, we have to keep people safe. We need to take care of that violent personal crime. But how can law enforcement foster strong, collaborative relationships with the communities they protect and serve while also implementing those effective crime reduction strategies? That's not easy. That's a fine line. There's a fine line between protecting and over-policing. Here's how we want to do it. It's called relationship-based partnership policing. And I'm going to read this off because I can't say any better than it says here. This imagines a new way of operating for the police where our legitimacy in the community is built on procedural justice, authentic relationships with community members, and a sustained commitment to improve the health and well-being of the community. It's not just a focus on crime statistics. Oftentimes you'll find those crime statistics will take care of themselves if the community's well, if we've invested in community capacity development. So that new team we mentioned earlier, the Community Safety Partnership. The vision of the Community Safety Partnership is that communities, I want you to listen to this, because one thing, it's not even so much what you see in this, but what you don't see. Communities in and out of our selected areas, those areas that have been underserved for years, socioeconomically disadvantaged areas where we don't have a good relationship, they'll be able to sustain long-term community development and maintain safe, thriving, and healthy communities, and that all individuals and families will be able to live in peace, feel safe in their surroundings, and experience a healthy quality of life. Did anybody see anything about the number of arrests, about the number of citations, about the law enforcement statistics? No. That is part of our job. I'm not telling you we're going to stop arresting people. What I'm telling you is we understand everything we can do to invest in this positive investment on the front end. We don't have nearly as many negative interactions on the back end. A couple of things we're doing, we're working on development of training programs. One of my TCU lead cohort members right here, Ronnie Rencher, we're looking at programs that we train our leaders. Everyone in the business community understands executive development, leadership development. We've kind of failed at that in policing, and this is a partnership between multiple agencies within the Metroplex and the North Texas region to train our leaders and future leaders to be the best they possibly can be. This is one of the trips, one of the last cohorts took to LAPD to get them some exposure to some other agencies and what they're doing. We're investing in children, the Police Athletic League. It's a way for us to interact with and engage with kids in the community, and it's absolutely amazing. Look at some of these pictures. This is it all. It's amazing what we're able to do when we can engage with kids in sports. One of our bigger, we've got 2 gyms, working on a 3rd one right now. Our Explorer program, that's for people 14 and up who have a desire to maybe be in policing one day, and we bring them in, we expose them to some of our training, we let them find out if it really is something they want to do, and we find out maybe if that's someone we want to hire one day. Last but not least, we talk about Operation Progress, one that's very near and dear to my heart. It's a program we started here. Right now we're currently in Como. And what we do with Operation Progress is we reach out to young people in the community who just need a chance. We're taking them and putting them through 2 private Christian schools in Como, Miss Indy's Christian Academy and River Tree Academy, paying their tuition all the way through, buying all their supplies. We're going to support them with the tuition all the way through graduation and beyond. These are some of our tutoring sessions. Dr. Maisha Smith on the left is our executive director. This is one of the TCU interns that's helping out. And this is some of the families we've been able to help. The family on the left lost their home in a fire during the winter storm. We were able to gather, Operation Progress was able to gather the funds to get them set up and make sure they were taken care of. Those are some of our scholars. That's what we call our mentees. Family on the right faced some medical issues, and we were able to help them as well. Just some interactions we had with the kids, an Easter egg hunt. We took them to movies. We get to do some really fun things with the kiddos. And actually, through a partnership with TCU and one we're working on with Wesleyan, and we're working with some other agencies like Boston College and others across the nation, we're getting scholarships for the kids as well. So once they graduate, they don't have to worry about tuition. This is our Sally Gonzalez and her family when she came from LA, the LA Operation Progress program. This is what she was greeted with when she came on campus. We wanted her to know that Fort Worth PD was here to support her as well. This is what it's all about though, the connections with the kids. It is absolutely amazing. This is changing the narrative about policing right here. Every interaction is an opportunity to change the narrative, and we're having interactions with kids who will be the future of Fort Worth. You know, we were talking a little bit earlier. I'm going to close with this. I hadn't even planned on reading this. I read this at our latest graduation. Also read it at the Texas Police Chiefs Association convention. But talking about changing the narrative about policing right now is disgusting. Have there been some negative things done on the part of the police? Absolutely. There are some bad cops, but the overwhelming majority are outstanding. So what I tried to tell the graduates to make sure they keep their heads up, they keep doing the job, and they keep doing it the right way was this quote by someone who could say it better than I ever could. Neither let us be slandered from our duty by false accusations against us, nor frightened from it by menaces of destruction to the government, nor of dungeons to ourselves. Let us have faith that right makes might, and in that faith, let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it. Abraham Lincoln. We're going to do our best to do the job right, but we can only do it with your support. I appreciate everything you do already to support the Fort Worth Police Department, and I look forward to an ongoing relationship with all of you. Thank you so much.
Chief, let me just say on behalf of the Rotary Club, I had the honor of being part of your interview for Chief. I don't know if you remember, but you were as honest and empathetic and eloquent and kind and generous that day as you were today. And saying thank you alone can't begin to express the appreciation we have for you and your squad, what you do day in and day out. Many of us will never know what it's like to be a law enforcement officer or to run toward a burning building or to be a first responder. You said nothing can be changed until it is faced. I love that. So thank you for facing these issues and tackling these challenges day in and day out on behalf of us, our families, our loved ones in our community. It is a tradition of the Rotary Club of Fort Worth to donate a book to the Fort Worth Public Library in honor of your talk today. And we have a copy of the book plate that will go into that book forever at the library. Thank you so much. It's such an honor. We're so excited to have you as our chief. Ladies and gentlemen, Police Chief Noakes. Thank you very much. That was great. Wow, just a few announcements as we close out. We'd like to thank our sponsors again, to Sierra Bank and Downtown Fort Worth Inc. We really appreciate your sponsorship. Charlie, Henry, Andy, thank you so much for that. If you would like to sponsor a meeting, one of the amazing programs that we have here, the many amazing programs, let us know or contact Shana Saldana for sponsorship information. We have one meeting. It's a Rotary Minority Business Award Committee meeting in Executive Conference Room number 2 at 1:15 on the 11th floor. And we'll close by telling you about next week's program. We have the CEO of Alcon, David Endicott, to talk about Alcon from a Fort Worth startup to a global leader in eye care. As we close, Tom, let's share screen and we'll get a good view of everybody that's out there on Zoom land. Everyone, it's so great to see more of you today that we haven't seen in a year. And for those of you online, we miss you. We love you. Stay safe and Godspeed. We hope to see you next week. This has been the Rotary Club of Fort Worth. Have a great weekend. Thank you.